Hello and welcome to live app phone call and chat support system part 4. I am Kamran Wajdani, and in this video we will complete our chat UI. And yesterday I have suddenly stopped the stream because I had to go somewhere, but today inshallah we will complete chat support UI. But before continuing, as usual, I would like to request, if you have not liked our Facebook page, then please like and follow our Facebook page. And if you have not subscribed to WatchMeCode YouTube channel, then please go to YouTube channel, subscribe and click the bell icon to receive the updates. If you have not liked, let's continue where we have left yesterday. Let's open core.js, and if we go to our local host, Control Shift I to open the developer console, let's click on one of these buttons. And yesterday we have left on the admin text bubble, and we were setting up the arrow CSS. Let's start by going to core.css and go back to console, right click, inspect, expand the chat text and select the before. And now we have our dash bubble u chat text before. Click on border right and click on background, select the border bottom, click on the background, and now we have the same background color like our bubble. Now we need to move our arrow to right side, but before that we have to change the border radius from top to 0, and I guess we need to change, well, copy from the original bubble, paste inside the new bubble, and let's change top right bottom to 0 and left to 20 pixels. Now let's quickly copy the chat text CSS and paste inside the core.css and save. Now go back and select before, and instead of left we will use right to -6 pixels and left to auto. And now we need to change border right to left, and now we are good to go. Great. Let's copy and paste inside chat text before. Great. Save and reload. Click, and now we have the chat me bubble and chat you bubble. And to remind, the chat me bubble is from my side, or actually the client side, and the chat gray will be from admin side, or we will use the gray from client side or blue from admin side. Now we need to add a couple of more bubbles. Instead of 4, let's use 12 or 20, and instead of %2, let's use 4. Now reload, and now we have a couple of more bubbles right here. Now we need to add a couple of more chat UI bubbles, and first of all we need to add var underscore I equals I %3 equals 0, then it will be me, otherwise you. Now we need to check underscore I percentage, for example we will use 5 equals 0, then we will add call, otherwise underscore I, and for direction just use underscore I, or well use direction instead, just to make sure. Save and reload. And now we have an error, and that is the direction. Okay, now if we go back to our chat bubble, we need to change the CSS, or actually div HTML elements. Let's check for if self dot props dot I guess we have to change one more thing. Let's go back to direction instead, and keep the direction right here, and let's add to type, and let's check for I percentage 5 equals 0, then we have call, otherwise we have text. Go back to chat bubble, and let's switch to self.props.type, and we have case text break, and we have case call for now. Now we need to duplicate inside text and call. Now we need to add, or let's quickly check if everything is working perfectly. Click great. Now we need to add inside the call, instead of simply chat text, we will use something like missed call chat. I'll keep chat text for now. Duplicate chat dir. Well, let's use chat to call, and call duration, and now inside duration we will use 0 0 0, and inside props.css let's add a couple of colors. Let's use prefix C for color. Let's add 777 to color hash 777. Save, and here we will use 13 C 777, and we will use block, or actually we need to move the duration inside the call text. Great. Now let's save and use bubble call. Let's remove the direction, because in the direction we don't need the call bubble, because the call bubble will be center aligned. Let's save, go back to core.css, and inside dot bubble we have call text, and we have call duration. Let's save, go back to localhost reload, click. Now we have a couple of call bubbles. Let's select one of these and right click, inspect, and inside inspect we will simply select the call dash text. I guess I have missed adding, oops, it is double B, not single B, something like the movie Bumblebee. It is actually double B. Well, let's click, right click, inspect, and now we have call text. Let's add width to something like 100 pixels, margin 0 auto, and add a border of 1 pixels, DDD solid, text align center. Let's add a padding of 10 pixels, border radius to 5 pixels, and I guess we should reduce the padding. Okay, and let's use BL instead of IBL. Great. Now we need to change the margin to top 0, right auto, bottom 0, and left auto. Now let's use 5 for now, 5 pixels, or maybe 10 is good. Okay, keep 10. Now let's copy the call text CSS, go back to core, paste and save. Now we need to move to core.js and use the BL instead. Save, and let's reload the localhost, click, and now we have the missed call bubble, but we need to change, I guess, the margin and the font size to something like S12, and for S12 we have font size 12 pixels. Reload. Now let's click, and now we have the chat call text bubble. I guess we need to increase the margin to 20 pixels. Yeah, let's quickly update inside call text, save, and we need to add S13 as well for our core.js call text. Use S13. Let's reload one more time, and now we have the call bubble, we have admin and client bubble, and I guess bubbles are okay for now. Let's add one more thing. Let's go to core.js, and inside those support box, inside those footer, under those footer, let's add the class name equals typing, use ABS, and inside typing let's add the text typing. For now use S12, C777, and we are good to go. Click save, go back to core.cs. Let's use those dash box, those dash footer, those typing. Save, go back to localhost and reload. Click, and now we have our typing indicator right here. But first of all, select those footer and add z index to, let's say, 2, and for typing we will use z index to 1, bottom to 0, left to 0, and for bottom we will actually add right 0, and the background color will be FFF, and for bottom let's use 45 and add a padding of 2 pixels, or maybe 5 and 10 pixels, or I guess okay, 20 is good. Let's copy, or I guess bottom should be 44 for now. We can change the color or bottom and all that later. Let's go and paste inside those typing and update to those dash typing. We need to add the typing indicator by going to file manager. Well, I am fetching it from my server because connect UI, and I guess we need to change it from hold on, let me take something quickly for is edit, public and inside of network, so let's choose copy, and I have my typing indicator www UI, and let's paste. Well, I have typing.svg, and that is actually a typing indicator svg, and I'll include or upload so you can use it inside your projects. Let's go back to core and let's add an image source, and inside image source let's add underscore underscore. Oops, I guess I have not added the base index. Okay, let's create a global Zeus constant. Use script, use const underscore underscore Zeus live equals, and inside Zeus live we will use base, and we will add our localhost URL. Great. let's go back to core.js and let's add underscore zoos.base plus UI typing.svg, and let's add a class name of indi and ibl. Go back to core.css and let's add the indi. Indi is for actually indicator. Let's use the complete word instead. Copy, save, add inside core.js. Let's use the full word. Go back to localhost, reload, and now click. Oops, we have some error. Underscore zoos is not defined, or well, I need to use those live instead. Reload, click, and now we have our typing indicator, right? Select it, and let's add a height of, let's say, 10 pixels or 28 pixels. Add vertical line bottom, add margin to 0 pixels, 0 pixels, oops, 0 pixels and 0 pixel. Let's add top right bottom to negative, and let's include, okay, I guess 36 is good, and let's use negative 15 pixels is good. Let's copy and paste inside our core.css indicator. I am thinking if we can remove the background color of those typing and instead use, well, remove the top padding, and we are good to go. Copy and paste inside the padding of those dash typing. Save and reload. The typing indicator will be shown when the other side of the user, either it is admin or it is client, and for now, as we are designing the client end, we will get noticed as a user or client that our admin or support agent is typing a message. In fact, we can use or choose the font size to, well, keep 12 for now. We will use font N as well because we should use our global font. Yes, font N is good, and I guess inside chat bubble we are okay. Great. Now let's reload, click, and now we have the typing indicator, but let's move it to its initial position, and that is transform translate y, and it is 0 pixels, and let's use 40 pixels. Copy and paste inside core.css, and let's select those folder and add those index z index to 2. Go back to those folder and let's add z index to 2. Great. Now we have our typing indicator hidden, and we will add a logic when we will connect it to our Firebase or our backend. Great. Well, for now our chat UI is complete, but we need to add one more thing, and that is when the user will click on the call button, we should not show the support box. We should show the support box when the user will click on chat. But when the user click on phone, we should start a phone call. And for that we will add a dialog box. Let's quickly create a dialog by adding well, we should create a dialog class, and inside the dialog class we should add I guess we should have a couple of classes inside. Well, let's create the dialog system. Thanks, man. Well, let's create the dialog system. Go back to code.js and let's add a constant. Let's call it dialog, and inside dialog we will use an arrow method, and we will add a class, and let's call it model box extends react dot component. Well, if you are wondering why I am adding the class right inside the dialog constant method, I'll explain later, but for now I need to call a dialog method or function, so it should create a class on the fly and append it to our body or our document, and we can add as many as dialogues as we need, and instead sticking to one dialogue is not good for health actually. not good for health. Well, let's add a render a return, and inside return let's add the class name of let's add those dash dialog, and we have those dialog dash plus self dot token. Well, I'll use uppercase for now. Add a var self equal this, and inside model box let's create a constructor, add props. Let's add super props. Let's add this dot token, give it a value of this dot props dot token, because we will be providing the token or dynamically generated ID to this model box whenever we will render it. We need to add the anim class to our dialog anim, and we need to add fixed as well. Now we need to add one more div. Let's call it this dbox for now. Let's add fixed, and we have this dbox dash plus self dot token. Let's save it and keep this for now and go back to class, and let's add a comment quickly. As let's add this model box. Now we need a var root equals document dot create element, and that is a div, and the root dot id will be those dialog dash plus token, and the token will be run it. Let's go back to we need to add the run it method. Actually, the run it method will generate a random id with alphabets and numeric digits. Yeah, you're true. I am from Lahore. And I'm using Streamlab OBS. You can see right here I am using Streamlab OBS. And it is not just recording, I am streaming it live. Well, go back to run it. Let's create run it. Const run it, and inside run it, well, let's call it well, run it is good. Now we need a length value and a separator for now. Well, let's use k for now. Inside run it, let's create one more function and call it const. Well, let's add underscore k equals arrow and a curly bracket. Well, we need to create, well, why is my typing is so bad? Okay, let's add a var text equal nothing, and we have allowed characters, and it is a b c d e f g h I j k l m n o p q r s t u v w x y and z, and we have a b c d e f g h I j k l m n o p q r s t u v w x y and z, and we have 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. Actually 0 is already there. Well, let's run a loop for I equals 0. I is less than k and I plus plus. Well, let me stream the lecture and inbox them. Okay, let's go back to for loop, and inside for loop we have we need to type here text plus equals to allow. Actually, it should be allowed characters, not allow characters. Allowed characters dot char at, and let's use a math dot floor, and we should use math dot random, and multiply it with allowed characters.length, and I guess we have a sufficient character generator. Let's return the text. Now as we have our underscore method, or actually nested method, complete, let's call our id equals underscore k, and k is passing down from our random param down to underscore or down to id. Now we should use our id equal underscore k, and we should check if length is greater than 1. We should add for var n equals 0, n is less than length, and n plus plus, and we will add id plus equals we should add a dash, and let's add underscore k, and now we have the id ready to go. Let's return id. Let's save, go back to localhost and reload if everything is working perfectly and we don't have any syntax or reference error. Great. Now go back to token and let's run it with a length of, well, I have created the random method and it will generate the random id in a sequence of, for example, xxx. If we add the length to, for example, our length should be 4, then it will add, let's pass 4 and let's add a 6. Now we have xxx dash xxx dash xxx. We have a pattern of number of k or over number of characters, and we have dash xxx. Actually it is 6 characters, not 4, but as I am giving an example, so ignore it. Now we need to go back to our dialog class, and inside our dialog class root.id should be token, and let's add document.body.append root, and we need to add react dom.render to render our model box class. Let's add model box, and for now let's use document.getElementById, and the element by id should be those root those dialog token. Now we need to return the token. Great. Now let's go back to our action buttons, and on our call button we should use start inbox, and inside inbox we should check if mod equals 0. We are starting a call, either it is incoming or outgoing, and let's return. Now we should call the dialog. Let's go back to localhost, click, and now we have a randomly generated dialog element, and inside our dialog we have those dialog undefined, and I'll check it quickly. And actually, as inside our dialog we are referring the token to props.token, and I have not passed inside token. Let's quickly pass it token. Let's go back to model box, and it is actually those dash dialog. Okay, let's go back to core. Let's add those dialog, and inside those dialog we have those debugs. Let's keep it for now. Save, go back to localhost, reload, and now if we click on our chat we have our support box, and if we click on our phone we have our dialog. Now if we go back to core.js and let's check what is going on, as we are not getting our those dash dialog and this dash dialog. Now expand, and okay, great, we have those dialog. Let's select it and add top to 0, left to 0, right to 0, bottom to 0 pixels, and let's add a background of black, and opacity should be 0, or let's use 1 for now. And let's add the z index to 2147483,647. It is the highest allowed z index, and we want to keep our phone call dialog on top of rest of the screens. Let's add 75 for now. Copy and paste inside core.css, and now we need to select our debugs, and we should add background of white, top to let's say 150, left should be 50%, and width should be 350 pixels, and let's use a min height to 100 pixels, and we should add transform translate and use -50% to -50% for now. We should use it index to 1, and padding should be 25 pixels, and we should use a border radius of let's say 5 pixels. Let's add a box shadow 0 pixels, or maybe 1 pixels, 2 pixels, 10 pixels, and 000, and let's reduce the opacity to something like 0.5 is good. Great, let's copy and paste inside our debugs and save it. Great, now reload. Let's click on phone, and now we have our dialog box, but instead of just popping up we should add a nice animation. Let's add core.js, and inside component did mount, let's add $.those dash dialog dash plus self dot token dot transition, and inside transition we will use opacity to 1, because by default we will be using dialog box opacity to 0, and we need a duration of 200, and on complete we have a method of the inner dialog box, and that is our debugs. Let's select .those dash dbox dash plus self dot token dot transition, and let's move it to next line, and we need to add x to -50%, and y to 0, or maybe 10, and duration should be 200. Let's duplicate it and let's move 0 to y to 0, and duration should be 200. Let's save it. Now go back to our Zeus dialog, expands like the box, and transform should be negative. Let's use 50, or maybe let's use negative 500 by default. Let's go back to core and let's use negative 500 for y. Oops, pixels. Save, reload. And now if we click on our phone, we have ID, or what I am missing. $.zeus-dialog. Well, I guess I am messing something up. Let me check quickly. We have Zeus-dialog plus self token, and we have fixed. We need to add self.token transition to opacity 1, duration 200. I guess we need to add a function instead, because jQuery does not understand the arrow methods, I guess. Let's save and reload. Click. Oops. If we quickly select, expand opacity Zeus-dialog-G, and if we expand, actually it is not working. Component didn't mount. Oops, we need to add wall self equal this. My bad. Reload. Click on phone, and now we have our dialog box. And for our background, we need to change the background color to something like 0.3. Okay, great. We need to add 0.3. Let's save, reload one more time, click on phone, and now we have our dialog box nicely sliding from down. Great. Thanks, Salman bhai. Well, we need to add the dialog title. Let's quickly select core.js, and let's add div, or let's use h2, class name equals this dialog title, and we should use font B and S14, and for text we should use title, and title should be inside our dialog title. Let's go back to dialog and let's add outgoing call. Go to core.css let's add those dialog, those dbox, those dialog title, save and reload. Click, and now we have our title. Great. Let's select and add text line to center, and we need to add a couple of more things, and that should be, I am thinking about if we can change the background color to something more transparent, or and for background color of our cover, I am thinking if we can simply switch to something like 0.9, and dbox should be 8.5, or if we can use a complete white. Yeah, good. Go to core.css, select and use 9.5, and dbox should be completely white. Reload, click. Great. Now we have a prominent color and the screen is more decent and kind of sleek UI. Great. Now we need to add a couple of things. For now, let's quickly add div class name equals those dash html, add a rel class, and inside html we should add self props content, and the content should be message, and the message should be inside our parameter. Let's add a message of, let's add div class name equals dp rel, and we have h2 close, and let's add camera image for now. Use name, use font B is 14, or maybe I am thinking if we can add 20, and let's use a lighter font. Go back to props, let's add .s20. Font size should be 20 pixels. Great. Now we need to add a fragment of React or well, use a div class name call wrapper rel, and let's add great. Let's save it. Go back to core, and inside dbox we will use call wrapper, and inside call wrapper we have dp, and we have name. Let's save it. Go back to localhost, reload. Now if you click on our phone, we have call wrapper. Select the dp, let's add width to 200, height to 200 pixels, background to gray, border radius should be 100 pixels, and we should reduce the dp size to something like, well, I guess 100 is good, and margin bottom should be 10 pixels, or let's use margin top 0, right arrow, bottom 10 and left auto. Okay, let's copy, go to DP, save, go back and select the call wrapper, use text line center. Let's add margin 0 pixels 0 pixels and increase the margin. Great. Now select CSS call wrapper, save, and if we can quickly reload, now we have click, and now we have our outgoing call symbol. We need to add a nice animation for our DP, so it should feel some sort of interactivity. And I guess we should create an CSS animation real quickly by going to props, and let's add, I guess we should move it to core.css instead. Okay, after the body, let's add keyframes. Let's call it shadow, and the shadow should be 0% to transform scale 1, and on 15% we should add a box shadow of something like 0, 0, 0 and 20 pixels RGBA, and let's add 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 for now, because we will click on this color picker and we will update your color. Let's save it. Now duplicate, and on 25% let's duplicate it to something like, I'll use a lower opacity 0.2, 20 pixels, and we need to add one more box shadow, and it should be 20 and 40, because on 25% we need to pop multiple shadows, or let's call it two shadows, one for 20 pixels and one for 25 pixels. Now on 30% we will actually change the scale to 1.2, or well 1.5. On 50% we will change the box shadow to one more box shadow, and it should be 60 pixels. And on 80% we will scale down to 1. Great, save, and inside of our DP and I guess we should add the shadow animation to something like, well, let's use animation shadow. It should be 1.5 ease, and it should be infinite because we need infinite loop. Let's save, go back to localhost, reload, and if we click on phone, and now we have a nice animation of our DP, but we need to change the color. If we quickly reload, we need to change the color to background of our theme color, and that is RGB. And go back to, if we need to copy, go to keyframes, let's change the color quickly. Let's reload, click on phone, and now we have nice animation, but we need to change a couple of things. When 0% transform scale 1, on 15% we have 20 pixels, on 25% we have, well, let's move it to same line. Oops, I need to change, and don't use the box shadow because the box shadow value is this comma separated value, my bad. Let's remove and save, go back to reload, localhost and reload, and now we have a nice Skype like animation. Great, because we need to add a in call status animation so that our DP should work out of the box. Let's quickly use my own DP for now. Let's inspect, and before right click, open a new tab, and let's use 200. Let's save image as to D, C, and let's use BAM64 www source live, and inside UI let's use DP, and let's add core.js, and let's add image source equals underscore live.base plus UI dp.jpg. Class name should be block. Save and reload the local host. Click, and now we have our image. Let's go to CSS quickly. Inside DP, let's add image and add width to 100%, height to 100%, and border radius to 100 pixels. Save, reload, click, and now we have nice DP animation. Well, this is it for now because my stream is exceeding the 1 hour limit, and well, I have a couple of things missing like cross button, answer, decline, and a couple of more buttons, but we will add these buttons when we will get to our call section. So let's reload. Now if we click on our chat, we have a chat box, but if we click on our phone, we have our phone dialog box. Great. But before leaving, I would like to request, if you have not subscribed to my WatchMeCode channel, go to YouTube and subscribe the WatchMeCode channel and click on the bell icon to receive updates. And if you have not liked the WatchMeCode Facebook page, please like and follow the WatchMeCode Facebook page. This is it for now. Bye bye.